Hello and welcome back
to the In Your Mind podcast.
How are we doing today?
Itchy.
Oh, itchy nose.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that.
I just finished my last assignment for the semester.
Wow.
I wrote in my journal my last assignment of the year, and then I had to scratch it out. I was like, you're not done that easy. It's like last assignment for the year. I don't know.
Not
It
quite.
just feels like even like it's like a couple weeks off. I think it's like 4 weeks off. That basically is like another year. Like your headspace, it just kind of goes from the books. Your books. It's like two different brains.
Yours is definitely gone, hasn't it? It's gone from the books. What does that mean?
Like, I'm just saying, like, I don't know, even like 4 weeks of not learning new, like, content is just like a lot of time that it may as well be like a new year. Like, in my head, it's like, whoa, a lot of, like, it's going to be all new subjects next year. Like, not next year, next semester.
You're really living in the next year already.
It's basically another year.
See, that's one thing I never really understood why the break is so long. Like, people froth it because they hate uni, right? And the more time you get off, the sicker it is. But you get in the swing of things. Like, it seems that the semesters are so compressed that you're borderline keep up the whole time, and then you need time to have a break.
Yeah. Well,
but if the semesters were a bit longer and they weren't as intense, you wouldn't get in and out of the swing of it all the time.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't burn out as
You'd probably
quickly.
learn way more too.
So stupid.
Yeah. Doesn't feel like it's set up in a way to learn, which is a complete other
Shocker.
thing. But, it would be nice if... I understand, like, even, like, the lecturers and stuff, they don't get paid enough and, like, I don't know, there's a lot of issues, but it would be cool if it was, like, optimal. If we could, like, have lots of time to learn, go really in depth on all of the stuff, like, be able to really have big discussions about it, flesh it out, really make sure everybody understands, like, I don't know. I think in the long run, we'd be better off.
I mean, I don't think you really go to university to learn, though.
You go to get a degree.
Yeah.
That says, tick, you've done this, tick, you've done this, you tick, you've done this. But how much of it do you actually remember when you're out of that?
How much of it is actually relevant?
How much of it is applicable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I left.
Yeah. Although I was just kind of reflecting about like how grateful I am to have this opportunity and to be learning about such cool stuff. Like, I do really love what I'm learning, and I do think a lot of the lecturers do an amazing job. Like, I do think they're just so passionate and like will give you a lot of their time if they can see that you're really interested, like they... Yeah, so that's been cool to see. And especially, like, I think this year, the further you go on, the more time they kind of have for you, or the more that you show that you're, like, interested in learning and, like, thinking, like, critically thinking about things, like, oh, okay, my time's not being wasted here. Like,
Yeah.
At least they're getting something out of it. Yeah. And, like, one of my lecturers said, like, I wouldn't be lecturing, I wouldn't be a professor if I cared about money. Like, I care about research and learning more about, his research area. And that's kind of why he's there. And he wants to educate people, about what he finds interesting, which is cool. But yeah, I was just writing after I finished my last assignment. I wrote down some things I'm grateful for, which I think is a nice thing to share. I am grateful I am really able to focus on study and learning in this period. Learning how to learn, exploring life through a lens of... My writing is so bad, it's so hard to read. Exploring life through a lens of psychology and philosophy, and having access to talk about passions with others that also enjoy these areas. Yeah, I'm grateful that that I can spend this much time just like learning and putting my mind towards like focused goals. Like even just that process alone is really valuable. So I'm grateful for it. But yeah, what are you grateful for at the moment?
Trying to figure out exactly what it is. Agency,
Can you provide a definition?
free will, or the ability to like think and exist and have consciousness. And that my future is a set of potentials that can be whatever I want it to be. Like, I don't feel confined by anything.
That's sick.
It goes up and down though. Like yesterday. It's not that I felt like I couldn't, but sometimes the path is clearer than others.
Mm-hmm.
Like where you are and where you want to be feels so disconnected. You don't know how you're going to make it happen. Like there's so much fog that you can't see the steps and the mechanisms that's going to lead you to a specific place. And I feel like life is just a series of seeing it, getting lost, finding your way a little bit further and then seeing it again.
Mm-hmm.
And getting lost again and then finding a little bit further and you see it again.
Yeah.
And just that time between like being lost is so like, it's hell, bro. But also it's the biggest opportunity. Like I wrote on my story yesterday, like it's really it is the mechanism of progress, but it sucks, bro.
Yeah.
It's so shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it just means I feel like when you reach that level, it's like, oh, okay, you've become, it's like your level of flow and boredom, like anxiety flow spectrum. It's like anxiety to boredom and your potential. You have outgrown the current circumstances and you've realized that, and now you're wanting to search for something bigger, but yet you don't know what that is. Is that kind of what it's like?
No, it's just like, I mean, it's kind of like that in a way, but it's predominantly like clarity on what you want. Like I was talking about before, when you have a clear goal of where you want to be, it's much easier to distill the steps to get to that place. And when you don't have a clear goal, everything else is hard to define, and so you just feel hopeless and lost.
I feel like there's a level of like you've reached the end of like the potential that was in, I don't know, that space or that box, and now you need to go to the next step
I mean, there is an element of that, like
in order to like
the knowledge that I was applying, I'd kind of outgrown that because I realized that it's not working. I need to try. I need to go deeper.
yeah. So it is kind of like, because it's growth, that lost aspect. It's like, okay, there's a lot of room, what you said, there's a lot of room for growth here and like expansion, because
Well, I'm here and my goal is way over there. So there's something missing. I've got a lot of work to do.
yeah, it's kind of just like when something big happens and you're like, how am I going to get this done? Like it just feels, this task feels way too mammoth. And then you take like little step by little step, and then like I don't know, it seems like it comes, I feel like I'm not explaining myself well right now.
Well, for me, like, I understand what I'm trying to do is going to take 12 hours a day for probably 10 years before I reach the level of success that I want to get to, so I can have the impact on people's lives that I want to. And they're both the same thing, essentially. And when I lose track of what that impact looks like, my motivation and belief in myself that I can make it happen dwindles. And I just feel overwhelmed with the fact that there's this impossibly large goal that I want to achieve, and I have no way of understanding how I'm going to make it happen. Or that I can possibly put in enough inputs to get there.
Yeah. So it's actually, it would be like the anxiety component of the flow, the diagram. It'd be like you've got too many things that you need, too many task requirements, and not the capability that you can see to fulfill them.
Well, there's a lot of task requirements and you don't even see what the task requirements are.
Yeah.
Like you're just walking around in the dark.
Interesting.
But you know there's 10 billion of them that you got to hit,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So how do you feel like that has changed for you now? Like, how do you feel like the steps have gotten clearer? The fog's cleared up a bit?
Well, I just re-established what I want, like my dream life.
Mm-hmm.
Where I want to be, where I want to live, the things I want to do on a day-to-day basis, what makes me feel fulfilled, what impact do I want to have on people, and how do I break that down and achieve it? Like, how much money do I need? Where do I need to be located? What type of person do I have to be? What obstacles would I have to have had overcome so that I could teach other people to do it as well? And what have I already learned that I can leverage to get me there as well? Like, what lessons have I got?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah.
Is faith a big thing to you?
In what?
Like, do you have a feeling of faith that you will get there? Or faith that someone's like looking out for you? Or faith that in yourself that you will pull yourself through that? Like, is there faith?
I have a certain minimum level of faith that, like, in the reality of the universe, like, if I do this thing, it will result in this outcome.
So you're very like computational.
At the most fundamental level, yeah. Because, like, if you can't deduce anything from anything, then you're just completely fucked. Like, you're walking around and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you hit a switch and you don't know what light turns on, or you don't know what the switch does,
Yeah.
you'll never be able to hit any switch because you'd just be paralyzed in fear.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it'll turn the heater on, or maybe it'll electrocute someone next door. You know what I mean?
Kind of. They're just funny examples.
It's an extreme analogy, but
Yeah. So you have faith. You have some sort of level of like certainty that if you do this, you'll get this.
I have faith in the interconnectedness of reality.
It's a mouthful.
And if I impact one part of reality, it will ripple out and have an effect on other things. Like, I have faith in the fact that I have influence over the space around me.
Mm-hmm. And that can do things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
In the most fundamental sense.
Mm-hmm. And is faith something you have a relationship with daily?
The issue that I come across is not knowing what to do to have the impact I want. Like, I don't struggle with faith that if I do something, something will happen. It's just like, what do I do in order to get what I want?
Mm. So you don't have faith that the answers will be presented to you if you were like acting in accordance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can also get lost for a long time.
But do you think that you'll find your way back? Like, do you have faith that you'll find your way back? And that like, yeah.
I mean, when I'm on the path, yeah, but when you're lost, like, you don't know how long you're going to be lost for. People get lost their entire lives and never find their way out. Like, it's a possibility, you know?
Hmm.
Like, people can get so caught up in their emotions and their trauma that they never actually step back out of themselves.
But what about you?
Well, I can't say. Like, when you're lost, bro. Like,
So you don't know if you'll be lost or not?
no, I know when I'm lost, but I don't know when I'm going to find my way out. Or if I will. Because, like, if you're in a dark room and there's switches all over the wall,
Yeah.
and one of them turns the light on, I can start flipping switches, but I never know when I'm going to hit the light that turns the light on, switch that turns the light on.
But you know, if you're flipping switches day in, day out, eventually you're going to get out.
Well, I don't know. The room might be infinite. I can't see it's dark.
Right.
And that's what life is, right? There's an infinite amount of opportunities and things you can do with your finite amount of time.
Mm.
And you might not hit the right switch.
Mm. I just have a very different perspective. Like,
What's
I
your
feel
perspective?
like I honestly really do believe that like everything that's meant for me will find me. Or
How do you define meant for you?
everything that I'm drawn towards and working towards and put my intention in and that feels fulfilling,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, is meant for me. And I trust that feeling that I have. And I trust that I will continue going back to that space.
But
So-
what do you trust when nothing feels like that?
That I'll continue looking for it.
And you'll know you'll find something.
And I know I'll find something. Because I know it's getting dark, but in my darkest moments I have.
Yeah.
And when you go, there's no way.
But like,
And then
yeah.
you find it and you're like, oh my God.
Like that's the more enlightened perspective. But like when you ask me, do you have faith? Like I have
Yeah.
faith now, but when I'm lost, like I feel like the definition of being lost is not having faith because you've lost faith. You know what I mean? You've lost direction. You've lost.
Yeah. I don't know though, because like even when I've been in like, you know, the roughest of rough that I can think of, there's been the answer that I'm given is like, well, I want this. Truly, like I do enjoy this experience and this existence. And yeah, I don't know. I just think I get very probably existential about it and be like, well, we're given this experience. How unlikely is it to be born? How unlikely is this whole thing that we're living in? Like the probability of us being alive right now is so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I owe it to find faith and to find like purpose and fulfillment and like, yeah. And I do just be like, everything's going to be okay. Like I'm alive, you know, like I've been like by some miracle I'm here. So like, just like, you know, born into life. So I have faith that I care enough. I guess I just care enough about my experience in order to like want to make it as best I can, which is kind of faith, maybe.
So you don't ever reach the point where there is a potential where everywhere you look is just misery.
I don't think I let myself. I don't know, maybe that is within me somewhere, but I'm just so biased that I don't see that. You know, maybe that is happening, but how I actually interpret it is truly like, I believe that I'm not going to let myself sit in misery or like, yeah, for a long enough, like forever.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe there'll be like a couple dark years that go
See,
dark.
that's what I mean.
But like, who knows? But
if I get lost, I don't know how
Yeah.
long I'm going to be in there for, and I might die before I get out because it's just a finite amount of time, and you don't know when you're going to die.
Yeah.
Like if I go into a dark spot tomorrow for a week and I die halfway between the week,
Yeah.
like that's just it.
Yeah. I guess I just don't
And
really
that's
think
just
about
a
it.
fucked up way to go. You know what I mean?
I don't think about that. I don't let myself think about that. Yeah.
But I mean, shit happens, I guess.
YOLO. But honestly, YOLO. Like,
Like if you lived forever, it is inevitable that if you lived for an infinite amount of time,
yeah.
you will always come in and out of it. Like that's just the nature of life. Like it's impossible to stay in one state or the other.
Mm.
But yeah, it's just because we don't have much time, and
Yeah.
you don't know how much time you have.
Yeah. And I think that's what pushes.
True.
That's like
True.
why. Like, I don't know if I could. Yeah. I don't know how long I could actually allow myself to sit in a state where I'm like nothing. I don't know. Yeah. I don't really want to go back there, but you know.
Yeah, it's pretty hectic.
Yeah, I know.
So what were we talking about?
What we're grateful for.
Oh shit. My bad. That's ironic.
I know. No, but actually, at the core of it, I am grateful just to be alive and to be born and to. I'm grateful for everything around me.
Is death inevitable?
It depends how you define death.
Your soul leaving your body, your consciousness evacuating this vessel of flesh and blood.
I think that's inevitable.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, but I don't know. Like,
Or what about
I can't
if
actually
we
know,
somehow
but
develop
yeah.
the technology to transplant consciousness between bodies?
Oh, totally. That's in the works. They're figuring that one out as we speak.
I guess then it becomes
Totally.
the question of like, is it the same consciousness then?
I
Like,
think
do you
it
believe
is.
your consciousness is deeply intertwined with your body, or are they fundamentally separate? Like,
They have a relationship, but I do think they're different.
well, in a lot of like the yogic teachings and stuff, it's like you're not your body.
Yeah. Well, it's like non-dual or
Yeah.
monism. It's like, do you believe in like the mind and the body being separate, or even just like, but then there's so many different forms of it. It's like, do you believe that there's just one conscious like experience that we're all just experiencing, or is there like multiple?
Yeah, is it all the same consciousness? You know, that'd be a crazy day when the veil gets lifted, hey?
I don't think it ever will. I think that's what, I think we're humans in order to question all of these things. I think they're like
But I think
fundamental living
on
questions.
over an infinite time, if we don't nuke ourselves, we will
We'd figure-
evolve to the point where we've experienced each other so much that it would become so second nature. Like, if we spent an infinite amount of time together,
You reckon we
we
figure
would
it
know
out?
pretty much everything about each other, right? So well to the point that we're pretty much the same person.
Maybe. I just, like every single thing? No, because you wouldn't know what's inside your left knee. Like, you know, like.
But you're not your left knee.
Okay, so we're talking about, I know everything about you. Are you not your body then? Is this not Brendan's
I'm talking
body?
about consciousness. Consciousness experiences itself. Like,
Okay.
I'm
So
not my
not-
knee.
Okay.
Are you?
Well, there you go. That's a big...
Have you got a difference in opinion? Because this clarification is important.
I think I own my body. I think I am my... Yeah, Kira is
But
my body.
is Kira your consciousnness?
Not
or is
all
your
of it.
consciousness just your
My
consciousness?
there's my consciousness, which is just like the part that everybody has, which is just consciousness itself, just conscious awareness. And then there's I'm Kira that's been in this body, that's experienced. I've got a scar here. I've
Is
had
that
different life
consciousness though, or
experience.
is that just memory?
It's memory. I think it's the body memory.
Well, to me, that's different to consciousness. Because consciousness is just
different.
awareness of the present
It is
moment.
different, but Kira is different to consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you said everything, if we know everything about each other, are you talking about everything about each other in terms of the form, your human?
Well, that is the window to what is
Form.
within. If I asked you a question,
As you are.
okay, stick with me.
Yeah.
Stick with me, this is important.
Oh,
If I ask you a question
let me ask you a question.
and you, like, and your answer reveals something about you at your
Yeah.
core.
Mm-hmm.
I know more about you, how you think, your perspective,
Yeah.
and therefore I can run that perspective through other information to determine,
What's the other information?
like if we go to a lunch with friends and I understand this part of your perspective now and how you interpret information,
Yeah.
I can then predict what you're going to think about it. And so therefore we're more connected
Yeah.
because we're having the same, I can step into your experience. We're together. We're one in that sense.
Yeah.
And so over an infinite amount of time, an infinite amount of questions, an infinite amount of knowing you,
Mm-hmm.
we could become one or have the ability to step into that.
Okay. I just think, just playing like the skeptic here, with you, because you have experienced a lifetime of you before you've come to try and experience eternity with me, then you're bringing along your past experiences, which is going to shape your interpretations of even everything that I'm telling you, everything that I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I guess it's eternity, right? You have to
that's
come,
why the
you
time
have to
scale
come
is
to,
important.
Yeah.
Because like my 24, 23 years before knowing you
Yeah.
will be pretty much insignificant in 3,000 years if we spend that together, you know what I mean?
But then you've got the problems of like, if your traits become more set when you're a teenager, are your traits still going to be set for eternity? You know
No,
what I
because
mean?
you've always got some plasticity.
You've always got some plasticity, but I guess it's eternity. You've got enough time for those like.
Well, let's not say
Point.
eternity. Let's say there's this technology where we can transplant and live forever. Or Brian Johnson succeeds and we reverse aging, can live forever, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We live together for 10,000 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's still enough time for one person.
To know everything.
Not everything, but to the point where
you could predict their
within a
interpretations of
very
things. Yeah.
small margin of error.
Yeah, totally.
And so, over 100,000, millions, billions of years, the human race, consciousness, like we could do that on a larger scale and evolve into one conscious being,
Mm-hmm.
which is God. You follow me?
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Riddle me that.
Like, we are not even babies in the scheme of our potential as humans, I believe.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I definitely see where you're going with that, and I've had ideas previously about, like, even just within your family tree, like looking back on your family tree and like intergenerational trauma and like healing those that kind of stuff. Like, imagine if you look at the progressions or the amount of influence you can impact on your family line's trajectory, and you can change the outcome of your family's life and your future generations' lives, then like you can impact it. Like, everyone can be impacted. Like, you're impacted by a smile from somebody, like, in the day. Like, I
don't feel anything.
No, just like
Yeah, okay.
conversations, smiles, like
Yeah.
you're impacted in a minute way.
Yeah,
But it does impact you.
yeah.
So if you're talking over millions of years, yeah, that's evolution, right? Like, we're evolving to, if we're looking at it from like in the positive psychology lens, like, where we are evolving to positively to try and reach higher levels of consciousness.
I think that's what evolution is. Like, life begets life. Life exists in a way to continue its existence.
Mm.
Bar catastrophic events like we nuke ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So if we can not destroy ourselves in a global catastrophe or a solar system catastrophe, if we become an interplanetary species and develop weapons that can completely destroy the entire galaxy, like we somehow develop a black hole gun. you
Yeah.
know, like, the stakes keep rising.
Mm-hmm.
It is possible. Like, intelligence generally trends in the upward direction. Like, we are seeming to gather more and more intelligence
The Flynn
as
effect.
time increases. What'd you say?
The Flynn effect.
Is that what that is?
It's just like the idea that we're getting smarter and smarter, basically. More intellectual.
The general trend is like that.
Wait, let's
yeah.
just clarify that.
So it could be said that, like, eventually, I forgot where I was going with that, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so the Flynn effect found that people's IQ scores rise over time. People's IQ increased by about 3 points per decade. Additionally, this phenomena suggests that people are more likely to score higher on an outdated version of an IQ test rather than a current version. But it has a lot of issues because it's like we create the IQ tests, and it's like what's within fashion of like what we're taught.
Yeah.
And so it's not hard evidence, but like it's something.
And IQ isn't a
Intelligent.
holistic test of intelligence
No,
either.
it's
Yeah.
one part. Although it is quite related to fluid intelligence, but it's a separate thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's valid, but it's not everything.
totally.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
get the picture there.
So where were we going with that? I feel
Well,
like there was a point.
we were talking about the trajectory of humans, right?
Yeah.
And that you think, well, you were talking,
We're talking about consciousness experiencing itself.
yeah.
And that will get to a point where we all fully become one because we've experienced ourselves.
Well, you were saying God. You were saying like,
Well, that's what God is, right?
it's just all knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the question is, do we already have that form of intelligence out there? Like an all-knowing intelligence? Or is it just collective? Like, I think,
Like, are we connected to that?
well, it's like, is it a separate entity or is it just us?
No, it's a separate entity, but it hasn't grown to its max potential yet.
Yeah. But do you reckon that? It hasn't grown to its...
Well,
'cause,
yeah.
I mean, it's all speculatory, so... But like,
There
it's
is some
interesting.
element of missing piece because I don't know everything.
Yeah.
And if I'm connected to the infinite, but I am not infinitely conscious,
Yeah.
there's some form of disconnect. And maybe that's just because this physical vessel, like our brain can't handle the bandwidth
Yeah.
of infinite information.
Yeah.
And it would just take time for us to evolve physically to become more and more intelligent. Brain grows bigger, all that type of thing.
Yeah. Which is a suggested possibility.
What's another one?
Well then, so you're saying that there is an all-knowing intelligence. The other thing would be like, it knows as much as like the collective consciousness knows, like all of our minds put together, and that's the only form of like
Oh, you mean like
intelligence.
all the fragments of individual intelligence?
Yeah.
No, because that has to come from somewhere.
Needs like a pool.
Because,
Yeah.
that's based on the assumption that I believe we're vessels of information. I don't think we create information.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just also, it's interesting if we come back to like what we were talking about with when you were like, do you believe you is you as Kira is separate from me? And just talk like, I believe that we have the same consciousness inside of our, like you have the same consciousness as me, or ability to perceive consciousness. Like it's the same essence within you and me.
Yeah.
But our consciousness is shaped a lot by our experience of our physical form and our bodies and what we've experienced and like what we've seen and like our sensory organs and like all of that. It's kind of manipulated by that. And there's a level of like the mind and the body needing to have some sort of like, there's like an equilibrium of like using your past experience to understand phenomena, but also detaching from it too.
I think the journey is to detach from our memory as much as physically possible when it will benefit us. Like we were talking before, what you were talking about, like hearing generational traumas and stuff. You're only hearing that so it doesn't impact the decisions you make moving forward. Like you're not getting rid of them. You're not undoing them happening. You're just processing them to the point where it doesn't impact a decision past the point of like self-protection. Like you don't just run the automatic survival mode thing anymore because your environment has changed. Like the healing is just recognizing you're not in that scenario anymore and it's time to adopt new behaviors.
Yeah, which I also think like, so obviously we have that drive to experience, to have new experience is within all of us, but then we've got like our fear mechanisms and then our like, which some of them are innate and then some of them are learnt and they kind of prevent us from new experience. But there's like a relationship. We have to have like a relationship with like associating new experience with positive, or any experience with positive, or that you can learn something from it. Because I think like ultimately if we're all on a trajectory to like better our consciousness, then the more learning, the more experiences that we feed into it, the better we can share our experiences, and the more progression we can make, the more we can like rule out and determine like, okay, no, this is the path, you know, like the more we can all learn together.
Yeah, you want to experience it as much as you can so you have more data to make better decisions, to have better experiences. But you can't identify with the memory to the point where you're almost over-analyzing every scenario with every bad memory you've had in order to protect yourself. Like you need to use your memory to facilitate more positive experience rather than protect you from more negative experiences. I feel like our nature, and as we've evolved, like our brain is wired to see the negative things because it's protected us, and it's like see the tiger so you don't get eaten by the tiger.
But that's body, right? That's protect the body.
Because well, that's just a physical manifestation of it, but we do that in so many other ways.
Yeah, but it is kind of like protect the body because it's like your survival vessel. Yeah. It's what's carrying you through.
It's what's feeding consciousness.
Yeah. So it's important to protect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love consciousness chats. I just think it's so cool. Like, I just feel like this is the most exciting topic ever.
This is literally like life
is
life
life.
maximizing
This
potential talk. Yeah.
like there's something that makes me so like buzzy about like purpose and like consciousness and like it's just like yes, more experience, learning, like we're just learning and sharing ideas, which I think is so cool.
Cool. Should we wrap it up?
Let's do it.
Hell yeah.
Let's do it.
Well, that was good. Hope everyone enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Got something from it. If you have anything to add.
Yeah. Have any ideas?
Oh my God, we're synced. We're the same consciousness.
Let
What were you going to say? DM us on...
Let us know.
Finish my sentence. What am I thinking?
At In Your Mind podcast on Instagram.
And what's the next thing I'm going to say?
And rate 5 stars. Rate 5 stars.
Hell yeah. If you want. You don't have to. But it would be sick.
It would be.
Because honestly, like, this goes for every creator. I feel like people who just watch content and don't make content don't really know. But those metrics are actually so useful for the creators to determine what is resonating with the audience. Like, it's not just give a like to, you know, give them a hit of dopamine and boost their ego. It's like, it's actually an important and useful metric to see what people enjoy so you can make more of that.
Figure out, oh, okay, that's kind of what's the interest is.
Yeah.
You know, oh, okay, let's do more of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Cool.
So
Thanks
if you
for
have the
listening.
time, just let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Peace out. Woo!